This is Joy News Prime coming to you live from our studio here in Accra. We're live on DSTV channel 42 and GoTV channel 125 around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up this hour, Electricity Company of Ghana, debt hit 56 billion cedis as losses surged to 10 billion. That is the latest revelation captured in the ECG's own audited financial statement as calls intensify for some private participation in the work of the power distributor.
If we don't fix the Electricity Company of Ghana, we will continue to have a major problem with our whole power value chain.
We have all the details as former ECG boss Dubik Mahama justifies ECG's under-declaration of revenue and the company's operation of over 80 collection accounts.
If you say revenue has been under-declared, you should be able to tell in an audit report where the revenue went. But if you leave it hanging, it was under-declared, and that's it. What are you seeing?
Also coming up, the finance minister prepares to assume office in the coming days, calls heightened for him to prioritize unpaid debt owed U.S. companies as its lawmakers push for the IMF to halt further releases of its $3 billion program until Ghana settles its debts. And later in the bulletin, Ghana's most authoritative scale that celebrates people impacting lives positively, Joy News Impact Makers opens 2025 nominations.
The award has really benefited me and has helped me and has given me credibility and has enhanced my authenticity nationally.
Now, ECG is drowning in debt, according to the latest audited financial statement of the State Electricity Distribution Company. The audit concluded that ECG's current debt is standing at 56 billion Ghana cedis, whilst its losses have surged to 10 billion cedis. Another audit conducted into 8 operations in the last quarter of 2023 pointed to under-declaration of revenue to the cash waterfall mechanism by more than 1 billion Ghana cedis. The audit conducted by PricewaterhouseCoopers also revealed that ECG operates more than 80 bank accounts despite an IMF conditionality that it should operate a single account. All this comes on the back of recent conversation about introducing private participation into the operations of the fully owned state company. We have the numbers to share with you. But first, listen to President John Dramani Mahama when he met a delegation from the World Bank.
Achilles heel of Ghana's financial and economic stability is and blow apart everything that we have achieved,
absolutely,
in the last few years. And so how we change the systems in the energy sector to make sure that we pay down the debt and make it more efficient than it is currently. I was vice president at the time. My president, Professor Atta Mills, signed the MCC. Actually, I signed it, but he initiated the discussions. When he was ready to sign, I was the one who signed it. And it was meant to improve and make Ghana the most efficient producer of electricity in Africa and become a major hub for electricity exports. Unfortunately, democracy has its dividends, but it also sometimes can be a curse. We left government and a new government took over and took over the Millennium Challenge Compact, mixed up the last segment of it, which was providing efficiency in distribution, billing, metering, and all that. And of course, PDS is history now. But we want to take a look at that again, because if we don't fix the Electricity Company of Ghana, we will continue to have a major problem with our whole power value chain. And so going ahead with privatizing the last point of distribution of electricity to bring in private sector efficiency is something that we want to take up again.
Well, Isaac Kojo, lead data and research analyst here at Joy News, joins me in studio with more on this particular development. Kofi, let's start from ECG's, own audited financial statement and what we're picking from that.
Kojo, so the story is actually interesting. So we bring you a trend analysis of 12 years of ECG's, profitability portfolio or outlook, and as you can see, 12 years. And out of these 12 years, ECG made profits in just 2 of the 12. So, in fact, the probability of ECG making profit in this period is just about 16%. It made profit only in 2016, 209 million Ghana cedis, and made profit again in 2020 during the COVID period, 410 Ghana cedis. But apart from these 2 years, all other 10 years have been losses and losses. And the biggest one has to do with the 2023 loss of 10.2 billion Ghana cedis that the ECG made. In terms of, transfers that government of Ghana actually makes to ECG, we've been trying to understand the issue because we know shortfalls in energy distribution is really important, and the Ghana government as part of the cash waterfall mechanism through the finance ministry. We understand that the average, inflows from the government to ECG in 2023 was around 5.1 billion Ghana cedis. We checked for 2020 during the COVID period, that was around 6 billion Ghana cedis, which means that even though government of Ghana is making such huge transfers, about 5.1 billion Ghana cedis, ECG is still making losses. And you can see this is the debt position of ECG comparing 2022 and 2023. And in fact, if you look at the debt position, this is the SOE report, right? This is just 2023. SOE data is quoting 47.2 billion Ghana cedis. This is a state-owned enterprise report signed by the finance minister. And according to that report, ECG had a debt position of 47.2 billion Ghana cedis. ECG's own, financial data or financial document audited by the Auditor General quotes or put the figure at 56.7 billion Ghana cedis.
Within the same period.
Within the same period, we asked Dubik, and he says that it could be forest losses. We're still trying to understand, the discrepancies. In terms of the net loss, we know ECG has been making losses. But again, the data is different, or the figures, again, are different if you compare the SOE report versus the ECG's own financial report. 10.2 billion reported by ECG in the financial report as against 5.9 billion. Huge difference there. Now we're talking about the discrepancies. It came, in 2 tranches. If you compare what ECG told the cash waterfall mechanism, the validation report, versus ECG's own revenues that we track, or the PwC report track from its validated bank, collections, the difference is about 1.14 billion Ghana cedis. And obviously, what was found in ECG's validated bank collections was higher than what it declared to the cash waterfall mechanism system.
So in simple language, they're hiding 1.14 billion from the books.
Well,
is that what
not
it is?
to use the word hiding. Okay. According to Dubik, they had to hold some of the money back, because of operational costs. And he says that if we declare everything, then how do we run ECG? He says that ECG needs about 600 million Ghana cedis every month to run. Okay. And in fact, if you also compare ECG's, what they reported to the cash waterfall mechanism system versus ECG's revenue sheet that the PwC report tracked, there's also a difference of about 600 million Ghana cedis. So both, analysis shows that ECG was not declaring everything that they had actually, collected. Now, this tells a story.
600 billion is scary, huh?
Yeah, 600 million is scary. It's
okay, this is 600 million.
Yes,
okay.
It's very scary. Now, if you actually, this is where the story is, the total collection. In just the Q4 of 2023, we are yet to find out what happened actually in 2024. Okay. And as you can see, according to ECG's own reported revenue, that revenue was around 3.38 billion Ghana cedis. Now, when the validation was done, they found out that, look, this was higher, 3.87 billion Ghana cedis. The difference was 490 million Ghana cedis. That was the difference between what ECG reported versus what they found out. Fuel supply issues also came up. That ECG told, in its own record, said that they had bought fuel worth 7.4 million Ghana cedis, but told the cash waterfall mechanism that the fuel they bought was 18.2 million. And Vic said that, it's not a constant process. It could be that at the time that they actually made this revelation, they were still in the process of putting or consolidating the data. But it's been almost 2 years. We are in 2025.
But the point
so if
is
you're given a validation report of 2023,
3,
we should have the full picture, right? So
that's why I don't see the correlation between his explanation and this, because if you say you bought fuel to the tune of 136.74 million, and the audit, of course, audit is going deeper into the lines.
Deeper, right?
The eyes won't see. The audit goes into it and says, no, you bought fuel 18.2 million. Question is, what is the remainder of the over 110 something million? Where is it?
Where is it? But ECG is the only entity that can answer that question, Kojo.
Those are very, very, revelations that gets you thinking about the energy and the power distributor. Meanwhile, former managing director of the company, Samuel Dubik Mahama, has already been reacting to the findings of the report on the polls earlier, insisting there was no foul play, operating over 80 collection accounts and under-declaring revenue. Watch this.
I would say to that is, that number is even small. We are doing our best to bring it down. You cannot have a digital payment platform and okay, let me make it practical enough. Let me make it very practical. If you're collecting money in Asankragua, do you have to use a bank account in Accra to collect the money in Asankragua? You can't. If you're collecting money in Seshivi also, do you have to use an account in Accra to collect money in Seshivi also? You can't. So if ECG has accounts in areas, they all collect, but they are all swept into a single collection account. And let me make that clear. ECG does have one single collection. Maybe we should call it one single settlement account. As for the collection accounts, if you reduce them, you are going to make the work very difficult. This same audit report came once at some point. It didn't have a management response when I was in office. It was sent back for them to redo it. Let's be honest. I want to be able to speak to a document that I understand properly. And I'm having major difficulty, because if one of my biggest difficulties is this: if you say revenue has been under-declared, you should be able to tell in an audit report where the revenue went. But if you leave it hanging, it was under-declared, and that's it. What are you seeing? So that would just tell me that probably the whole TOR or the terms of reference was say how much came in, how much did they give, how much did they keep. So if they kept it, why did they keep it? Everybody needs to know why the company kept it.
But Dubik, it looks as if the PwC and PRC are all singing from the same hymn book that you are under-declaring. So isn't this not something
nobody
new,
has
right?
said, I will say it, and I'll say it here, under-declaration is not a criminal offense. Let's be clear.
So was ECG intentional?
Listen, let me finish.
Okay.
Let me finish. ECG in a month, salaries. Let's look at the salary bill of ECG. Let's look at how much money ECG needs to keep the lights on in your district where you live, with the maintenance that they have to do on the lines. Where is ECG supposed to get that money from? If ECG gives all the money it receives away.
But Dubik, you also will agree that under the cash waterfall mechanism, you are entitled to a component, right?
So if you take that component, if I listen to what you are saying in this strictest sense, then that means I'm waiting for a staff uprising, or I'm waiting for the company to collapse during my watch.
Well, let's go on Zoom now and speak to policy lead on petroleum and conventional energy at the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ASEP, Kojo, Justice Kojo Yaoche. I'm grateful to you for joining us here. Now, if you listen to the MD, the past MD of ECG, he's trying to justify some of the things, saying, one, that, there's no wrong in under-declaring, and the fact that you need to take care of staff. Really, how do you react to him? Is it right to say that, of course, they can under-declare?
Thank you very much for having me. I just hope GRA is paying attention to this, for someone saying that there is nothing wrong in under-declaring your revenues. That just goes to show you how untenable some of the justifications that are being offered for what we can clearly classify as mismanagement of the system is. The cash waterfall mechanism came in because of some of these operations of ECG, where they take their revenues and decide that they're going to satisfy themselves first. And whatever is left, then they distribute to the value chain. And that has created a lot of backlog of payments that have accumulated into debt. So to ensure that we stay current in our obligations to the value chain players, including transmission and generation IPPs in that space, let's create a system, a formula that ensures that everybody gets something at the end of every month when we collect revenues. That was the entire thinking around the cash waterfall mechanism.
Yeah.
But for some unknown reason, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, Justice. Let's hear you. You're still on.
Yeah. Great.
So, I mean, as you said, I get a thinking or the sense that it is not right to under-declare. So what should happen going forward?
What we need going forward is clear visibility on how much ECG is collecting. Because the point has to be made that what ECG collects is not for only ECG alone to decide that it's going to spend it. In any case, ECG is not even collecting how much it should collect, right? Its regulatory benchmark is supposed to collect about 2 billion Ghana cedis every month, but they are currently doing around 800 million Ghana cedis. So you can't, on the face of it, collect significantly less than you collect and say, I have a lot of needs. Okay. And say, if I don't pay my staff, there will be staff uprising. How about the people generating the power for you? If you don't pay them and they decide that, well, we are not going to generate the power any longer, where are you going to get the power to now sell before you'll be keeping some for yourself? So moving forward, we need first full visibility on ECG's revenue, how much they are collecting every month. And then furthermore, we need a full forensic audit into the operations of ECG, like some of the fuel discrepancies that you are talking about. Who are those who are supplying the fuels? How come ECG is showing payments that is far above what we are able to validate in terms of invoices that have been submitted to them? Okay. The payments that they are making outside the cash waterfall mechanism, for which they claim that they need more revenue to push their operations. Who are the beneficiaries of these operations? Okay. We need full forensic audit of this to be able to ascertain what is happening at the utility before any reform process can begin.
All right, Justice, I'm grateful to you for joining us here on Prime. And away from that, talking about ECG and all of that, there are growing calls for the government to prioritize unpaid debt owed to U.S. companies. This comes on the back of a ranking member of the United States Senate Committee on Foreign Relations, Senator James Risch, asking Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen to leverage the country's position as the IMF's largest shareholder to ask the IMF to get Ghana repay its debt to American entities. He says that should be the precondition for U.S. supporting the IMF for further assistance to Ghana. Senator Risch cited significant unpaid debt owed by the government of Ghana to American companies. And Isaac Kofi is back with me again in studio with more on this particular one. Kofi, I mean, there's a lot coming up. What more do we know on this?
So this is the debts at stake, $251 million that the Americans want their companies to be paid. 6 companies mentioned, including Cosmos Energy. And according to the Americans, they believe that, I mean, if you have balance of payments and you can pay other people, then you should also prioritize their companies. And according to them, I mean, they know how much we are getting from the IMF program. And in fact, I think the last payment we got was somewhere around December, and we can conclude or confirm that we got about $1.9 billion from the IMF since the program started. I mean, total is about $1.9 billion. And the Americans are saying that you have this money, you have to prioritize 6 companies that you owe. Else they know their strength, they know they hold the veto power in the IMF, and they are one of the biggest shareholders in the fund. But how much is government of Ghana even expecting from the IMF this year? that we could actually pay that $251 million. In fact, if you look at the IMF data of the program, the entire 2025, government of Ghana is expecting somewhere 720 million Ghana cedis from the fund. And if you look at the tranches, it will come in 2 tranches, right? The first tranche will come somewhere May 2025. It should be around $360 million. The next tranche should be somewhere around October 2025. That should also be around $360 million. So the question is, do we have what it takes to pay that $250 million debt upfront? Because we know that the biggest problem the country faces at the moment is balance of payment. And we all know the position right now. It is just somewhere around 3 months of import cover. So if you go paying $251 million debt, what will be the position of the country?
But of course, the question is, why didn't we pay it out of the cumulative $1.9 billion that we've received so far?
It's because we have huge debt burdens, and in fact, we've suspended most of our debt payments. But remember that this year we are resuming some of our debt servicing obligations, especially in the commercial space. And if you look at the Eurobond payments alone, it's supposed to be around somewhere $600 million, right? So it means that government of Ghana would have to find $600 million to pay Eurobond creditors. We are not even talking about bilateral, because definitely we know that we are enjoying moratorium. But in fact, if you look at our import bill alone, it should tell you why it is becoming difficult for government of Ghana to prioritize these 6 companies.
Well, let's see how it goes. We'll take a break here. We will be back with some more on this and more. Welcome back from the break now. President Mahamat's second batch of ministerial nominations have been welcomed with mixed reactions from constituent and industry players who are outlining a raft of demands of various ministers must roll out to tackle teething challenges in the various sectors they are going to head. Now, according to them, the NDC manifesto outlined a set of policy directions, but must align with prevailing conditions in the various sectors. We'll hear from them shortly. But first, let's bring you the full list of ministerial appointments done by President Mahama today. But and if you look at what's on your screen now, we have Kwame Govins Agbaja, Minister Designate for Roads and Highways. Haruna Idrisu is Minister Designate for Education. Eric Opoku heads to the Agric Ministry, Food and Agriculture Ministry. We also have Abla Jifa Gomashi. She's headed for the Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. We have Elizabeth Ofosu Ajare, Minister Designate for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. We have Agnes Na Momo Late, Minister Designate for Gender, Children and Social Protection. We also have from Shama, Emilia Arthur. She's the MP for Shama, and she's been sent to the Ministry for Fisheries and Aquaculture. Ahmed Ibrahim is headed for the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. We have George Opare Ado Esquire, Minister Designate for Youth Development and Empowerment. There you have it. So these are the ministerial appointments that the President did, in addition to 3 regional ministerial nominations, which, of course, the Western region has had Joseph Nelson, the regional secretary of the NDC for Western region, being nominated for the regional ministerial position there. But some players in the various sectors have started reacting to the nominations. Executive Director for the Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare, believes Haruna Idrisu will do well at the Education Ministry. He, however, wants him to be an advocate of education to help him succeed.
I think that he will succeed. It is not, and it's also about using the technocrats available to the advantage of policy. The sector has many experts, okay? And so, as a minister, you have to be a good manager of all the expertise available. If you want to succeed in that seat, you yourself, you must be an advocate for education. You must make the strong case at cabinet for increased resourcing of education. And so the advocacy role of the minister, as you rightly said, is very, very fundamental in ensuring that you're able to lobby, you're able to mobilize, we were able to influence the allocation of resources in favor of education and in favor of executing the 140 plus promises that the NDC has made in their education manifesto. So advocacy and policy influencing, resources influencing is key to the success of the incoming Minister of Education.
NAT General Secretary Thomas Musa is expecting the Education Minister designate to ensure equitable distribution of finance to the various levels of education.
I believe that the number one thing that we are all expecting is how we can get sustainable funding for basic education. And I believe that given his rich experience, both in his student days and also having worked in the government space for all these years, I don't think Aruna is a novice. He's well experienced, and we hope that you bring his experience to bear on all those things and make sure that he leaves a very good legacy for himself and for his career. The equality principle is not the way to go. The equity principle is the way to go, and is to ensure that we get this particular policy to be sustainable. And so if on this particular point we think that we need to bring in people, we even went ahead to recommend, look, let us see how best we can provide some, put certain percentage of increase on the VAT to take care of basic education. We have also recommended that the Heritage Fund, how can we actually make some funds available from it specifically to basic education? We look at the issue of property rate, among other things.
Now, on the nomination of Eric Opoko to the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, General Secretary of the Ghana Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Karawe, wants the new minister to look at breaking down the sector to help him succeed.
If you look at the Honorable Eric Opoko, he's a seasoned agriculturalist, and he's also a seasoned politician, to the extent that he has been in Parliament before, came out and then returned to Parliament, and he has participated extensively on food and agri committees, and his work in the public discourse whilst he was in opposition was very visible, and I think that he has got a good understanding of the agricultural sector, apart from the fact that he himself is an agriculturalist, he's a farmer, and he has participated in policy making discourse regarding agriculture. We need to break down the agriculture sector, and I think that his main focus should be to break down the agriculture sector and deal with it decisively, because the agriculture sector is so huge and so also diverse.
Well, the McDan group of companies is fighting off claims that it is overstepping bounds at Ada Songo in the Greater Accra region, where a mining lease was granted to one of its subsidiaries called Electrichem. Now, Electrichem was ransacked by some irate individuals who accused the salt processing company of seizing equipment belonging to indigents who were allegedly mining on the same strip of Electrichem's operations. In a tour of the area after the clashes, Member of Parliament for Ada Comfordoyo Kojo Gansa told the media that Electrichem was overstepping its bounds of a 12,000-acre lease, a reason for which she was seeking an intervention from President Mahama to resolve the unrest over the salt mining lease, which remains the largest salt mine in Africa.
All those things are workers. Nothing has been given to them. They will say it is for them, but they are not benefiting. Now they are jobless. They are there and they are not doing anything. So they will put pressure. Now there is pressure from the community members. They want to work. They want to put food on their table. Some salt work with us and work within the 12,000 acres. And we didn't hear all this noise.
Okay, your government is in power, so I'm wondering, what's the next line of action?
We will just correct the wrong. It was given 12,000 acres, not 41,000. That traditional area, no other traditional area. It's not up to 100,000 acres. And you alone have taken 41,000 out of it. Then you have even went ahead to buy our last our dry dock, our storage area, and then storage area. You are buying everything. Whether you should buy with the indigenous in addition.
However, McDs Electric is fighting off the claims, as it says the total mining concession granted by Parliament was 41,000 acres in 2021. The company says its position is backed by a report of the Mines and Energy Committee of the 8th Parliament, which further stated that there will be no legal basis to tinker with the lease agreement. Electric salt mine is replete with countless reports of attacks and clashes at the concession site, prompting security concerns. However, Chief Executive Officer of the McDs Group, Kweku Amprofi, tells Joy News that the company will do all it can to protect its property.
I always find it perplexing when I hear her say that, mainly because the concession or the lease agreements were actually ratified by Parliament, of which she's a member. On the dates that the ratification was done, she was actually in Parliament. And since we've had these conversations, she's always been part of it. Last year, Parliament, the Speaker of Parliament set up a joint committee to look into these matters. We met with the joint committee several times, and every time she was part of it.
Right.
There were several times that these committees came to the site to inspect the work for themselves and see what was happening. And she was always part of it. She's always known. Right. There are no secrets to these things. Documents are in Minerals Commission. Right. If you want to find it, you can find them. So there are 3 leases in the concession that Minerals Commission issued. Right. It's not just that these concessions or these leases were granted. It's also that Parliament actually ratified all 3 of them. And through that process, our honorable member was part of it. She was in Parliament. Right. She knows everything that went on. There's no debate about it. So to keep referring to just one
So is it your permutation that if you're to put all the concessions, 3 separate ones, granted at 3 separate times together, we should be arriving at 41,000 acres?
So they were granted at the same time?
Yes.
But yes, if you put all 3 together, it's 41,000 acres.
Per your own permutation?
Per Minerals Commission's documentation.
And what's backing that? Because she's pointing to 12,000. You're doing your own permutation, I guess, on the acres.
It's not my permutation that I'm doing. These are documents from Minerals Commission. These are backed by ratification from Parliament, of which she's a member of. So it's not my permutation. It was legally documented, and that was granted. That is exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, in a bid to prevent further escalation of the tension in the entire community, a retired Assistant Commissioner of Police, Dr. Benjamin Agogo, is calling for the prosecution of individuals arrested by the police over the years in connection with clashes at the Songo Lagoon. The Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament last year called for the discontinuation of all prosecution of minor offences in the interest of peace. However, ACP Agogo believes that without prosecution, there will be no deterrence.
Personally, looking at these pictures, images, just based on these images,
right?
I cannot see the police presence there. At least maybe I'm not seeing, but others are seeing. But these are CCTV cameras that have captured this. It should be possible for the police to use this, even these CCTV cameras, to effect some arrest, to identify some of the culprits. But I cannot see the police very well over there. Maybe the pictures are blurred, but I cannot see the police presence there, which means that the numbers are not satisfactory. Physical presence of the police are not very satisfactory. And beyond the physical, using the uniform and other thing, I think we must also get some undercover police officers to move around and pick information that they can process into intelligence, so that they can actually get these people arrested, because they can mingle with them and yet in the process get them arrested. So there are a lot of strategies that are available for Electrochem to use. Have there been any prosecutions over the years? Because I've been hearing these attacks for some time now. Have there been any arrests and prosecutions over the years? If they have not, then maybe those are some of the things that are encouraging the people. So maybe the CEO need to inform us whether there have been arrests in the past and whether there have been prosecutions. If there have not been arrests and prosecutions, then we need to find out why the police what work the police have been doing, whether their presence there has been effective after all.
Meanwhile, in a separate development, the Aviation Private, the McDs Aviation Private jet terminal at the Kojo International Airport, which was closed down by the Ghana Airport Company over a $3 million debt, may resume operations in the next few days. McDs denies owing up to the tune of $3 million, as it argued that some components of the charges by the airport company were inaccurate. Speaking on PM Express with Blessed Soga last night, Chief Executive of the McDs Group, Kweku Amprofi, tells Joy News a substantial amount has been paid to the airport company, which will pave way for its reopening.
The cardinal issue that we had was that there were several transactions that several companies had done with Ghana Airport Company, and they had all been bundled into one issue. And we needed them to separate the two issues, all the issues, so we could focus. So they finally agreed to that. We've been in negotiations and dialogue with them all these days. They finally agreed to that. We've gone ahead and done some reconciliation. There were some numbers that weren't fully accurate. We've gone ahead and done all those reconciliations. So we're done now. Hopefully in the next day or two, we should receive the final bill from them that focuses just on the terminal. And we're going to go ahead and clear that. We actually went to Ghana Airport with checks to...
When will you resume your operations? I guess that will be...
At the airport?
Yes.
I'm hopeful by the end of this week we should be back.
Certain about that, or maybe?
Pretty certain. Pretty certain.
Well, away from that, have you nominated that extraordinary person in your community who is making remarkable contributions and inspiring others to follow suit yet? The Joy News Impact Makers Award is a perfect platform to amplify the voice of your community change maker as they make significant strides in diverse categories such as health, education, water and sanitation, technology, and many more. Join us as we acknowledge our heroes and get the recognition they deserve. Here's why. You must nominate that awesome person now.
Lamisi Music Foundation also partnered with me, and we gave about 500 pads, sanitary pads, to girls in rural communities who cannot afford it. Because of the award, Washington Foundation partnered with me as well to also give 100 unit school uniforms to some rural communities also in Boku West, Garo, and Congo district. Because of the award, we partnered with Rest Philanthropy, also partnered with us to give about 300 footwears to students here who cannot afford to wear, school footwears to school. The award has afforded me the opportunity to also have patriotism campaigns. Schools are now inviting me to come and talk at their various senior high schools to motivate their children to be selfless. I can go on and on and on, but I want to say that the award has really benefited me and has helped me and has given me credibility and has enhanced my authenticity nationally. I want to say a very big thank you to the Joy Impact Makers Award team. We say more grace to your elbow. We say that we don't take this opportunity for granted, for indeed looking at ordinary individuals like us and celebrating us as national heroes. It makes so much encouragement for us.
You have to be part of this award, and to nominate your heroes, send an email to impact.makersawards@majoronline.com. Fill in the forms and tell us more about them. Entries are opened from now until February 10, 2025. You can make your hero a Joy News Impact Maker and appreciate what they do for your community. Also remember to nominate that person for a special award in climate adaptation, innovations, and ICT. Joy News Impact Makers Awards, celebrating ordinary people making extraordinary impact. We'll take a break here. We will be back with Showbiz. Do stay. Welcome back. Let's do Showbiz now. And Becky Bex is here with Auto Gist. Hi, Becky. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How you doing?
Good to see you.
The Member of Parliament for Ketu South constituency, Abla Chifa Gomashi, has been appointed as Minister Designate for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. This appointment was made by President John Dramani Mahama on Thursday, which is today, January 16, 2025. Let's talk about Brace. Let me tell you a little bit about Honorable Jifa Abla-Gomashi. For those of you who don't know her, there's something small about her that you should know. So she obviously is the MP for Ketu South constituency. She is also a former deputy minister of tourism, culture, and creative arts now since from 2013 and 2017. Also, she is a former actress, film producer. She's a script writer as well. She serves on the committee in the Film Federation of the African Union, and she was also instrumental. She's still instrumental in the formation of the Creative Arts Council. Some of the things that is expected of her that we're all expecting as an industry is some of. So, Brace, you can, go through.
From the manifesto, it says, we will commence plans to establish a film village with equipment to be hired at low cost to filmmakers. So, we'll look forward to that.
We're expecting that she does that. There's something also here, hold an annual stakeholder dialogue with, arts, culture, and creative industry. There's also...
But this is important. We will rehabilitate the National Theatre in Accra. Commence plans to build a second National Theatre in Kumasi.
There are a lot of things, like 8 things that the NDC says that is going to do.
But this is also
what we're expecting on
a special event channel for the creative arts.
Of course, also provide special rates for performance at the Black Star Square, Accra International Conference Center, other state-owned venues, because we've been having issues with venues, including venues that are in partnership with the state to Ghanaian creative industry. But for Throwback Thursday today, so some of the things that we're expecting Honorable Jifa Abla-Gomashi to do. Throwback Thursday today is George Quay, who has vouched for the actress and politician Abla Jifa Gomashi to be appointed Minister of Culture and Tourism by the President in President Mahama's new government. He spoke on Joy FM just, this Saturday with my colleague Kwame Dazi.
For a party or a government that doesn't have time, this isn't the time to talk. The sector has about 13, right? Is it 13 agencies that under the ministries? There are places that people can easily fit in and support and come together to make it work. So for me, if we were to choose a lead today, I would go with Abla Jifa Gomashi. But then again, all the other names that have been mentioned could find spaces within the 13 to lead, and they would come together, and it's going to be... Look, kudos to... I have said it time and again that you can fault the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for any and everything, but definitely not tourism. That they did very well. Very well. They got it right. They did great. It would be a shame to see that ball dropped. I think somebody should pick that ball and take it to the next level.
Brace, before we go, let's talk about Drake, because he's suing his own record label for harassment. Let's take a listen to this report by ET Entertainment. That will be all for Showbiz this evening. Also, that'll be all for the news. Please don't forget that E-Vibes, the musical bands edition, is premiering this weekend on the Joy News channel and on the Joy Prime channel. You don't want to miss that episode with the greatest band who will be taking the center stage. Please join us. Don't forget. Also, log on to myjoyonline.com. That's where you find all the news. We're grateful for your time. Please, let's go.